Hey BookTube, it's Tara, and I am back with my Friday reads. And as far as what I completed this week, I was still on my horror kick, so I read The Faceless Old Woman Who Secretly Lives in Your Home by Joseph Fink. First of all, the cover is what got me when I first saw it. And then I was like, oh, this is gonna be scary, this is gonna be horror, this is finally gonna be that one book that will cause me to sleep with the lights on. It started off funny in a very sarcastic and satirical way, because you're following two timelines, one that's in like present day 2011 that goes, from 2011 to 2020, and then one that spans back to the 1800s. So you're following the same woman and her journey throughout the 1800s and the calling she's placed on her life to basically exact revenge on one person. There's paranormal activity in this book. There is, of course, like I said, there's kind of sarcasm and, it's very satirical. It's funny in some instances. It's a thriller in some ways. I don't know if I would classify it as horror, but maybe due to the paranormal element, it was. I liked it. It was not 5 stars for me. And I think that was because I was really trying to piece together and figure out in my head, what does the 1800s storyline have to do with what's happening in present day? And how does this child that grows up into a woman turn into a faceless woman? There was a bit of confusion in the entire storyline, I must admit. But when it all came together toward the end and everything was brought to light, okay. 4 out of 5 stars for me. Pretty good book. Again, starts off extremely funny. You won't even think it's a horror book in the beginning, just based on the writing style itself. Apparently, this is a Welcome to Night Vale book. I'm not familiar with Night Vale. The synopsis of the book talks about how it's part The Haunting on Hill House. I've never read that. And it's part The Count of Monte Cristo. I've never read that. And it's 100% about a faceless old woman that lives in your home, which that's definitely a good gist of the, a good part of the story. So it was cool. And because it is now November and we're into nonfiction November, I am participating. However, I'm not participating so much in the prompts, so I'm not following a particular reading guide. I am, though, reading some nonfiction books. Starting with the second book that I finished this week, which is Short Stories, The Autobiography of Columbus Short. You may know this young man from Scandal. I think he was in maybe the first 3 seasons. You may know him from the movie Stomp the Yard. You may know him as a background dancer to Britney Spears. I mean, he's done quite a bit in his career. And in this short book, we get short stories, basically his side of the story on why he left or was fired from Scandal, his upbringing, what went down with Britney Spears. It's kind of like almost like a tell-all from his perspective. I used to follow this young man's career. I liked him. The book was entertaining. I think I gave it maybe 3 out of 5 stars. So it was pretty good. It was short. It wasn't anything mind-blowing. I didn't learn anything from it. And so moving on to the book that I just started today, nonfiction, is called The Body Keeps Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. And I had took an interest in this book due to the psychological effects of trauma on the brain and how it rewires the brain. and how a lot of events that can happen in our lives, especially in childhood, say for instance, it's normal a lot of times in the Black community, especially for children to get spankings or whoopings or, you know, whatever you may call it. I know as a child, I got spankings. I got, you know, whooped for being disobedient, for being disrespectful. And that's just a part of the mindset a lot of times in certain households, certain communities. So you don't really think anything about it. You just think this is normal. This is the way of life. This is how things are done. And that becomes your normal. But, you know, what lies underneath, you know, what type of trauma did that necessarily hold, you know, as a child, if you were, you know, got a spanking or got a beating or whatever, and how that could have affected you later on in life. Personally, I don't think it affected me, but it might have. I mean, there may be something in this book that triggers some thought within me that, you know, I may learn something from it. So again, I'm only on page 28, and it's basically building right now a background on the author by the name, the author is Bessel van der Kolk, MD. And, you know, he's telling kind of like the beginnings of his career, how he got started in this field of psychology and working with patients that are, you know, schizophrenic or, you know, mentally challenged, you know, PTSD type diagnoses, things of that nature, how he got started in the field, what he learned, how back in the day, the treatments and methods of treating these types of patients, how he notices that they weren't as effective, you know, the shock therapies and the different medications that some of these patients were put on were definitely not necessarily helping the problem or healing the problem, and how he learned from those methods how to better handle people with these diagnoses. And so that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully, you know, the book gets more intriguing, more in depth, and I'll learn a lot more about some of the psychoses and things that people go through, and how it affects our everyday lives. So that's that. And that's all I have for Friday Reads this week. So anyway, thanks for watching my short video. I appreciate you tuning in. Please give a thumbs up. If you would like my content, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next week. Bye.